Hey everybody, we are back with another review, and today I got a throwdown that everybody's excited to see. Today we got Funko versus Phatmojo. Who makes the better toy? Now today I do have a three-part, I guess, trial you would do. I got the figure category where we're going to be comparing the actual action figures from the exact same fandom that they basically created. They did mystery minis. Both companies did mystery minis. We're going to compare both their mystery minis that both companies dropped. And they both did a round of stuffed toys. And we're going to compare those two. So I figure we do figures, mystery minis, and stuffed toys. That's a pretty good survey of both companies to basically do the final verdict of who actually makes the better toy. Is it Funko or is it Phatmojo? So without further ado, let's hop right into this review. So we got both of these figures over here actually already unboxed. So I got the Funko Scrooge McDuck right here, and we have the Phatmojo Scrooge McDuck. Now, the DuckTales series was very, I guess it was popular enough to the point where both companies decided to acquire the license to make these toys. But we got two different types of, I guess, fandoms of Scrooge McDuck. We have this newer version, which he wears the red suit, which is mimic of the original version of Scrooge McDuck. But it's the modern DuckTales show that they have basically adapted into the toy. And then we have the classic 90s, the mid-roll Scrooge McDuck here with the blue suit and outfit on. And that's basically the two different styles, and both companies went with a different look on them. Now, the figures themselves, they both come with little accessories. This one came with a little idol. It was, where is it at? Let's grab the... It has this little idol. Now, Scrooge doesn't actually have the capacity to grab it or hold it, so it's basically frivolous. And as you can see, this money bag is the same, the one that Funko ordered to put with this figure. But we'll check out the Phatmojo one first. Now, we did do a review on the full Phatmojo DuckTales set. It was a very precarious set because they created an entire line of figures that were this size. They're all about 6-inch figures. And basically, they created the money bin for Scrooge McDuck, and the figures didn't fit in the money bin. The money bin was made for a different purpose. It was made for like the smaller mystery mini style figures, which they're not really good quality. We'll go into those. But anyway, the figures themselves didn't actually fit in the play set that they created. They created the Sun Chaser, which was the airplane for what's his name? Launchpad McQuack. Launchpad McQuack's full-size figure fits in the Sun Chaser, but all the other full-size figures do not sit in the money bin playset. So that right off the bat, to me, after we did this whole review on the whole set, which is the only reason why we were able to come up with this. If we were reviewing it solely, it doesn't actually come with a figure, so you wouldn't actually be able to put a figure in the money bin itself anyway. But regardless, when they came up with these figures, their renditions basically off the new DuckTales show that they have now that's out. I forget what season it's in, season 3 or something like that right now. But they brought back the classic red Scrooge McDuck suit jacket, which is really nice. I like the first rendition, the red suit jacket Scrooge McDuck as well. I think it's a real nice, classy look over the blue. But the red suit jacket, for some reason, doesn't meet here in the middle. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Now, I tried to actually squeeze the plastic to think that maybe they're supposed to meet there in the middle, and they just didn't meet properly. And then I was like, well, maybe there's a belt buckle there. But then the belt buckle is silver, and it's directly above it. So I really couldn't figure out what this little void is, but there's just like 2 holes that go into Scrooge's belly. And this is something that is on every figure. Here's one that's sealed right here, and you can see the same thing right there underneath the belt buckle. There's 2 little holes. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's supposed to snap in there. I don't know what really that is at all purpose for. But there's those 2 little holes. Maybe the idol. Let me see if the idol has a little... Idol does not have anything on the back. I thought maybe you would like snap it in there or something and it would look like he's holding it, but that wouldn't even make sense because the arms don't bend. So the idol just kind of sits next to Scrooge. It's not meant to actually be something that Scrooge holds per se. But the figure itself does have that little gap there, and I think that's a little weird. He has a cane that he can hold with one of his hands. Let's see if you can get... I guess you could get in there if you force it. He holds it with 2 hands. So, and you can hold it with either one of those hands, which is nice. This one is opened a little bit wider, but what are you going to do? I think the other one actually holds it a little bit better. This one looks like it's a little forced. forced in there. This one still snaps in there. It's nice. A little firm. But the figure itself doesn't actually stand right either. It's not very balanced. I don't know. I mean, you can mess with the arms to try to balance it forward. But, like, why do you want your figure to stand up like that? You know what I mean? Just so it'll stay forward. You know, when it has its arms at its side, it just wants to fall backwards. Like, when this is, like, pretty much what he probably would look like if he was standing up. Or maybe even something like that with his arm a little bit farther back. But when you actually stand him up like that, he can't do that. So for him to actually stand up, he needs to have, like, counterweight forward. Let's see if we could just do it with the arm and the cane. You can do it with the arm and the cane, but he has to look like he's blind, looking for the sidewalk. So that's one downfall, I guess, right off the bat for the Phatmojo little figurine here. I do like the adaptation to the newer, series that they're doing on TV, and I do think that they did that rather well. Some of the little things, like I said, the little hole here is weird, the fact it's not balanced properly, but that's not really with any of the figures that they came up with. None of them really stand up properly. I don't know what it is. Maybe the foot to body ratio, it's not wide enough, or not a wide enough stance. Maybe just the cartoon adaptation, the cartoon itself, just physically, if you make it into a figure, it just doesn't stand up properly. I'm not really too sure as to why this is like this, but even the monocle is a little interesting. The monocle is a solid piece of yellow plastic with the paint on one side. That is very interesting that they did that. They chose to do that like that versus making kind of like a little monocle. But overall, I mean, if I was scoring this as something like, I was going to release this to the market and I was part of the design team, it does have a posable head there. You can rotate his head. So they made it so that you can turn his head all the way around, but they didn't make it where the figure can stand up by itself. So very interesting on that. If I was to rate this, as something that, I would rate it as a fail, honestly, because it doesn't even stand up. And if you articulate it, it'll stand up. If you articulate it properly, it'll stand up. But if you're just playing with it, it's going to fall over no matter what. And I think that's something that's a downer for, especially, what do they have on here? Ages 3 and up for the package. So ages 3 and up are going to definitely need something that's a little more stable than that. So I would definitely fail this and probably not release this to the market. But that's the Phatmojo figurine. So let's get him in blind eye stance and have him just kind of stand off here in the background a little bit. So we got the Funko Scrooge McDuck, which has the throwback to the 90s DuckTales show. And I do like how they made him a little more plump, because Scrooge is a little more plump. He's a little plump duck, He's making that money and he's hunting treasure and he's a little plump. So that's how they rendered him here, basically, which is exactly like the 90s show. I do like how they used the little clear plastic pieces right there for the monocle. It's basically like the same thing, only it's a little more realistic and it's a little more appealing when you're looking to display something like this out and about. It's got a little bit more of a classy look to it. Something more like a figurine that Disney would release. It has more, I guess it more has the design qualities of like a Disney figurine, I guess. That's what I liked about it, especially. The look on Scrooge's face is definitely timely and classic. They did his eyes really well. They did the mouth really well. And he has a posable head, which you can turn his head around as well. So just like the Phatmojo one. So this Scrooge comes with a cane and a bag of money. I do like the fact that he came with at least some accessories, one for each hand. It would have been cool if one of these would have included his #1 dime. That would be like super, crucial, I imagine. They did include the #1 dime in the money bin, but the #1 dime is the size of a real dime. So it's not even something that actual Scrooge McDuck, the figure, can hold. So if it's meant for those minifigures, it's actually like bigger than half the minifigure, the dime that comes with the money bin. So they could have made a smaller one for like Scrooge, the figure, to hold for the Phatmojo one. And same thing with this Funko one. The #1 dime would have been a pretty spot on thing, because they did do the #1 dime with his actual Funko Pop, which is cool. Now his arms are fully posable, just like a G.I. Joe figure. It has that little slit right there and has a ball joint, which is nice. It does have the same type of G.I. Joe arms, where it has that nice pincher joint right there, and it has nice functionality for him to basically fully extend his arm and fully extend this arm out, and that's what it looks like fully extended with his hands down. Now Scrooge without his accessories in his hands, he doesn't really display very well, because it looks like he's like carrying a sack of potatoes in each hand, but he just doesn't have the potatoes. So it doesn't really display very well, I guess, in that regard. But when you're going to display him, why would you display him with his hands not full? Now, he does have a swivel neck, swivel body, and a swivel midsection right here, which is nice. So you can set him off to the side like this if you wanted to do like an action shot of him holding his money bag, you know, have him basically running away or something. You could have that little action shot action. So it is nice that they do have the midsection movable along with the head, and the arms are as posable as they are. Now, I like that they focused on posability on the arms here, because that's where the accessories really are going to be, you know, played with, and that's where a lot of the action shots, I guess, will happen. Now, his lower section does not move at all. He has the molded feet that just kind of rotate like that. So I guess you could technically do a nice little action shot of him running or something like that. Let's see if we can get... Does the ankle move? I guess you could technically do some kind of action shot with him if you pose these feet right. I don't know. Well, anyway, he has fully posable feet, and he has these nice notches on the bottom of his feet for pegs, for I guess basically some kind of a peg system. Down the road, I don't know if they're going to release a playset or something for this, but out of the first wave of these DuckTale figurines that they released, they did these this Scrooge McDuck one right here, and they also did Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which was a ECC. It was a Spring Convention exclusive for 2019 that they dropped this year. I have that set as well. That was a little bit more on the pricier side. This Scrooge McDuck is like around $10. It's pretty common, but the ECC version of the three you know, little nephews, those were a little bit more harder to come by. And they dropped those as well. But that was basically it in the first wave, was just basically those, just the figurines. They didn't even do Webigail or I think they did Darkwing Duck. That was another one that they did. I do not have Darkwing Duck, but they did just those 4 figurines to start off with. I imagine there'll be a second wave based off of, you know, the you know, audience of this figurine. So anyway, I do like how they did it. I like the blue classic look, and I personally, I think that out of these 2 figurines, I like the Funko one better. I think the Funko one nailed it a little more. Now, me personally, I'm a little bit more of a fan and prone to the 90s Scrooge McDuck, and plus he stands a lot better. You can literally just throw stuff in his hand, and he has enough you know, physics to him where he can stand in pretty much any fashion as long as you just keep his feet flat on the ground. You could probably balance him in a way where he could hold his accessories and have his feet kind of a little wonky and still be balanced. But when it comes down to both these figures, I would say the Funko one is definitely the winner when it comes to the figurine category. So let's move on to the next one, which we'll check out is going to be the Mystery Mini category. So the Mystery Mini category, we got the 2 Funko releases, and then we have the Phatmojo release. Now, the Funko releases that I have here is the regular Scrooge McDuck, and then we have the Hot Topic exclusive Scrooge McDuck, which pretty much you can see him. It's just the large, 10-inch pop version of Scrooge in a Mystery Mini form. And this is a Hot Topic exclusive, so you can only get that if you went to Hot Topic and got the Mystery Mini there. So we'll put that one off to the corner over here. And then we have the standard Mystery Mini, which came from Funko, which has Scrooge there, just kind of holding his cane, just kind of chilling. And that's the standard Scrooge. That was the common, I guess you'd say. And then we have the Phatmojo Mystery Mini, which the thing I didn't like about these, well, I didn't, I guess, is they did include this notch here. And basically, you could look through and you could see whatever character you're going to buy. I mean, for me, when I was looking through and I was grabbing the set, I looked through and just looked for Scrooge's monocle or his top hat or the top of the cane sticking up. Those were the 3 things I was looking for when I was looking through the slot. But as I maneuver this, you can see his monocle right there. Here's his eyes. You can see the hat right there. There's the top of the cane, the little white part. You can see that when I just angle it, and you could pretty much get them all. And they eventually, in the first wave, they had all this revealed where you could basically look in and peek. But the second wave, they ended up putting a shrink wrap completely around this to the point, and it was printed so you couldn't see in the slit anymore. So it became a true mystery. But I did and did not like it. I thought it was cool that I could pick the one I wanted, which, and let me tell you, out of the entire box they had, and there was a lot of these, like at least 30 of these, there was 2 Scrooge McDucks. I bought both of them, but can you imagine trying to get the set and there's only 2 of these in the whole box and every other one is just Webigale? There was a lot of Webigales. So inside there is their mystery mini, which is this another rendition of Scrooge. Now this Scrooge doesn't have a hole here, which is interesting, and there's nothing that's supposed to be there, as you can see. So I did find that interesting that that hole is mass produced on the larger figure. Now he just is holding his cane right there, and he's just kind of standing like that. Now this is the size figure that they anticipated to go inside the money bin. Now let's put him next to the standard figure right there. Now standard figure wise, you can see it's almost double the size of this little mystery mini. The mystery minis again are intended for the playset of the money bin. So that's the main reason why this is I guess released, is so that you can display all your mystery minis inside the money bin. And again, the coin is the size of like a real dime. So you're talking about at least the size of Scrooge's head and top hat is the #1 dime. So it would look ridiculous in his hand or anywhere else, except for just in display in the money bin. So mystery mini right there, that is the Phatmojo one. Now let's take the Funko one out the box and check out the Funko one. So we could do a proper comparison over here. Here's the Funko one right here, which has that nice blue dapper suit, and you got that nice look with the realistic style monocle. The Phatmojo did the yellow piece of plastic again. So we have the nice realistic style monocle, which looks really nice, and this is a great display piece. You've got the nice little red flaps over his feet right there. They did a real good job with the sculpt on this, and let's see how he stands. So he stands perfect. You just put him right there. You could pretty much put him anywhere. Let's put him on the seam. He even stands on the seam where there's different heights of the wood. And let's see about the Phatmojo one. Does he stand? Phatmojo one. Here, let's move the Funko one out of the way. Phatmojo one doesn't want to stand. Okay, so Phatmojo one doesn't want to stand. So I find it very interesting that they made the money bin to display these, but they won't even stand on a flat level surface, this is a completely flat level surface. And I can't get him to stand whatsoever. Let's turn him a different angle and see if he'll stand. Now, I don't know if it's the fact he's just unbalanced and his feet are extremely small, but yeah, I mean, his feet are rather small in regards to how they did this figure proportioned to the actual figure of Scrooge. I mean, you can even see here, look at the size of his feet compared to his body. Over here, they're significantly smaller than the proportion of his body versus this figure, which is probably why this figure even stands up in the first place when his hands are wonky out and hands are out like that, because they have enough to balance him in that specific position. But this one, I can't get this one to stand up. So to be honest with you, I don't know. I can't even give this one a good score. I mean, it's a cool looking action shot of Scrooge, which is neat. I wouldn't say I'd always want him to be in that particular action shot. Like the Funko version of the Mystery Mini, they did just a nice poised Scrooge McDuck standing there with his, nice little cane. And then they did a nice action shot as the chase, which was the Hot Topic exclusive. And I think that's nice. It's like action shot, nice pose. And then, because I mean, think about it, this guy would look good in standing in like the Funko version of a money bin. Versus this guy who's always in this I'm in attack mode position. I don't know. I don't really see this as being something that I'd want to display. I can't even display it because it won't even stand up. So Funko, I think, definitely took the cake when it came to the mystery mini drop. So they won in the figure department for me, and they also won in the mystery mini department. They did this amazing when it came to these two mystery minis, and they dropped the Hot Topic exclusive one out. It's just like the larger one, so if you don't want to display the large 10-inch pop, you can always just display the mystery mini version of it, which is great because, I mean, sometimes you don't want to display this large 10-inch pop. I mean, they're large boxes, especially like this little mystery mini over here, a nice classic Scrooge McDuck. I feel like if the other pop that they made of him had actual real eyes that resembled Scrooge's eyes, I feel like this is what his face would look like. I think they did a good job on that. It's a real nice sculpt, and it's something that I definitely like to have out on display, especially because it's nice and small. It's nice, and having the nice pop protector, I guess the pop keychain or pocket pop protector is really nice as well, to keep the the figures clean and to have them out on display. You can have them in a nice little pop protector like that. So that's pretty cool too. I do like that. Unfortunately, this guy, even if I could get him in there, which he doesn't fit, he wouldn't stand up anyway. So I'd have to have him literally like slammed into a mold to be held in place, which is, I mean, not something I particularly want to do. So there's the mystery mini segment of this little comparison here. Let's go to the last segment, which is going to be the stuffed toy section. So we got the first one on the list here is going to be the Phatmojo Scrooge McDuck stuffed toy here. Now this guy, Uncle Scrooge, he is a Quackers plush with sound. So I don't know what Quackers is, but he's a plush with sound, yes. So you squeeze him.
Curse me kilts.
He says, curse me kilts.
Tougher than the toughies and smarter than the smarties.
And then he goes,
You kids are nothing but trouble. Bless me bagpipes. Curse me kilts.
so we got 4 sayings in there before it starts repeating again.
Tougher than the toughies and smarter
See,
than
so
the
it starts
smarties.
repeating again. Now, that's pretty cool. That's a cool feature that they did, the talking Scrooge McDuck. And looking at the figure itself, the felt or the fabric material here for the feet is just kind of painted on, which is probably, I imagine, pretty standard on it. Tag here is, not too bad. It's not too huge, especially if you took this off. He's got little clothes that are actually sewn together. He's got a little sewn belt buckle here, little collar, and his hands are pretty decent. I mean, they look like actual hands. He has a thumb there, which you can see. No cane, no accessory, no nothing like that. And then his head is pretty proportioned to the actual figurine itself. And they did, the actual eyes are, the pupils themselves are actually sewn on there, which are really nice. It's like all full-on embroidery for the eyes. The hat itself is pretty nice. It's not too crushed, and the bill on it's nice and sturdy. So it looks pretty sharp. Scrooge looks good. The monocles on here, I think they nailed it with the monocle on the stuffed toy. It actually looks like a monocle. It's not like a big solid piece and then they just paint the monocle on. It's actually like a little piece of hard felt with the pupil or the glasses part painted on there. And I think they did really good with this particular figure, especially the little
You kids are nothing but trouble.
the talking aspect of it is amazing. That's awesome. I like that they did that, and the figure looks pretty cool. That's a cool looking Scrooge McDuck. Now let's check out the Funko one. Here's the Funko one. Looks very similar to the actual, well, I wouldn't say very similar, but the side here, the side cheeks are very similar to the 3 fins that they did on the Mystery Mini, which you can see right here. They did the 3 fins on that, which is pretty cool. And then let's go down to the feet, check out his feet. I think this Scrooge McDuck's feet are a little bit more realistic looking because they're a little bit more flatter. They're not as poofy as the Phatmojo ones, but needless to say, the body itself, he's kind of puny. And the hands, when compared to the other one that we just looked at, it's got this like flat lay right here with the plush. See how it's just kind of like, it's sewn in at the seam. It's a flat lay on the seam versus like where the Phatmojo one, it's like a solitary single arm itself with the coat over it. And even if it was like a flat lay seam like this, the coat's at least over it so you can't see it, and it looks like a single solitary arm. We got double up label over here, which this is kind of obnoxious, to be honest with you. Even if you had this removed, I mean, this is a lot. He's got such a small body to have such a long label, The outfit itself is like printed onto the felt, so it's not like separate or embroidered on there. Hands just kind of look like round circles. Let's compare it to the Phatmojo. We got the difference is no thumb. It's just a round surface. The clothes are adhered to him except for the skirt, which can be lifted up, and you can see the material there. It's a very thin material. The face on this one looks cool. I like the eyes, how they fully embroidered the eyes, the pupils, everything they did, the full-on embroidery on the whole thing. His bill looks good. I do like the bill on the Phatmojo one a little bit better over the Funko one, because I do like how it goes along the side of the mouth, side of his head, I should say. Kind of like how he actually really looks, which is, they actually did do that on the pop. See how they did it up along the side here instead of it just going straight back, just like that. So they did do it on the pop. I just don't know why they didn't do it on the figure, or at least shape his head a little differently, not just like a round thing with these 2 cheeks slapped on it. But the Scrooge's head is a little bit different. than you would expect. So is the hat. The hat's just like a felt hat. I mean, this is literally like a felt hat, like something, I don't know, man. It's like pretty cheap. The bill, basically, I don't know if you could steam this to make this thing sit. I don't even know how you'd have it sit. I mean, I guess you'd have it sit like that, but even that looks kind of weird. I mean, Slender Man, DuckTales, it's just like the top hat, man. I don't know, that's weird. It's weird that they did that, especially that the other stuff is such, such quality put into it. This, I kind of feel like Funko dropped the ball when it came to the stuffed toy, but again, that's not their forte. They don't make stuffed toys. They do figurines and bobbleheads, but this is something that, I mean, I'm surprised Funko put their name on it. You know what I'm saying? It's even got a picture of Freddy Funko on it. Whoever they outsourced to do these, if they didn't make them, I think they did kind of a terrible job, to be honest with you. And they're about the same price. Everything here is about the same price. The first figures that we looked at are around $10. Their mystery minis were around $6 a piece. These stuffed toys were around $12 a piece. Even the talking one was the same price as the Funko one. So these were all around the same price. So you basically, the fact that you got different qualities from all the products, I think is definitely something that's telling of both companies. But out of everything, at the end of the day, I think Funko basically took it when it came to the things that they did to their actual figurines, which is their strong suit in regards to what they make. They don't do plushies. Phatmojo, I think they launched a huge DuckTales wave of toys that were all garbage. I mean, Launchpad McQuack, we did a whole review on that. I wish I could link videos to show you that. But if you do look in the playlist, you can look at the toy reviews, and I did a full Phatmojo DuckTales line review. But a lot of the toys just didn't work with the sets. And that was the main thing that they launched, was a toy set, and the toy sets weren't functional. They launched these ancillary products, just like Funko did, of these stuffed toys, and I think their stuffed toys were great. I have the full set of the Phatmojo stuffed toys, and they're all, I mean, great. All the nephews, Webigail, they all sound good. But the Funko one, I just think Funko kind of dropped the ball. And honestly, they would have probably not dropped the ball if they would have just done the hat a little different. If the hat wasn't like so, I don't know, just like easy to get screwed up, because, and also the way they sewed it, it's like prone to have the bill just be wavy like that. So, and it just looks bad for display. I mean, you don't want to be displaying a Scrooge McDuck with a wavy, I don't know, it looks trashy for me, to be honest with you. The Phatmojo one looks better to display, but at the end of the day, I don't display stuffed toys, so neither of these are getting displayed. But when it comes from a collector's point of view, I do like to look at things like that, because a lot of people do like to display their plushes. I mean, these things do cost money, and they do hold their value, especially if you buy certain franchises. They tend to have their, different value will go up, especially DuckTales. DuckTales is a franchise that definitely accrues value. So, again, I wish Funko did a little bit different. Maybe they'll do another wave of these stuffed toys with, Scrooge McDuck, and do it just a little bit better. That would be something I'd be looking forward to reviewing for sure. But in the end, I think Funko took the cake when it came to comparing both toy companies. I think they're just a little bit more in tune with what their customers want and what their customers are going to do with their toys. I think they're a little more in tune with it, especially the figurine, how you can pose the figurine and pose them in different ways, and it comes with accessories that actually fit in his hands. That was, a big thing for me. And then like the little mystery minis, those were nice little figurines to display. I think they did it in a way that you can display them nice instead of having it just be an action shot. So, and then, yeah, these talk for themselves. So anyway, if you like either one of these two companies and you have a passion for either of them, let me know which one down below in the comments. Which company do you like better? Did I do this wrong? Did Funko not make better toys than Phatmojo, and Phatmojo just kills it when it comes to making toys, and I just looked at these toys wrong? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more content like this, subscribe for more. I do toy reviews all the time. So be on the lookout for that, and have a great rest of your day.